All right, welcome everybody to Habatat Now. I'd like to welcome our special guest, Michael Behrens. He's going to give us a tour first of his studio and his talk. We're visiting him all the way from Germany, so without further ado, Michael, please take it away. You're welcome to pin his picture on your personal Zoom to see him full screen. I'm going to mute everybody. And Michael, you are now on mute. I asked to unmute you. You have to unmute yourself on your device. Michael.
Hello, everybody.
Perfect.
So right now I'm standing in front of my studio in Düsseldorf, Germany. So if you can see, I'm here for the past 15 years. My studio is at the first floor. I'd like to see the white windows, like the first 20 windows are from my studio. Come on, let's enter inside. So guys, I got the studio since 2006, and it was not so easy to find a place because I need a very big power supply for my kilns. And finally, it takes me 1 year to find this place. It used to be an old engineering fabric. So when I open it, I have upscaled the studio 2 times, and right now it's about 1,600 square meters. So the studio right now, or in the old house, there are around 80 artists from Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf is an old art town because of its famous art academy, founded in the 18th century. So I have a lot of neighbors around. Please take a look. We are on 3 different floors, and there are around 80 artists, but mainly just 2-dimensional. Not many sculptures, not many sculpture, and no. You have to go a little bit to the back. And no people which are working with glass or bronze, cast bronze as well. So come on in.
Beautiful space.
You can stand right here. So this is the old studio space, and right now we have tiered, you see the line, we have tiered down 1 wall. This is a space for model and mold making, and another space on the other side. But first I talk a little bit about the studios. So I have 2 big kilns for melting. This is 1 kiln, it's like 2 by 2 by 3 meters, and it can hold loads up to 2,000 pounds, mold and glass. And this is another kiln for another kind of objects. Later on, we will open this kiln because this one just got ready about 2 days ago, and some objects are sitting in it. So these 2 kilns are for melting objects. They're going up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have another kiln just for drying the molds, because mainly I'm working under high pressure. And you have to get rid of the water out of the molds. So this kiln is just for drying the molds. They are lying in several floors, warm it a little bit up, and the water is released. And it takes about 1 week that the kilns are, the molds are dry. Normally it's around 2 months over the kiln. So I have a separated location for model and mold making. It's a kind of dirty job. Come on and enter. So here we have the silica sand and plasters, some model on the rooms, some model on the table, diamond saw, chainsaw, compressor, and sandblasting facility. And right now we will take a look in the kiln after the models, if everything is ready and without breakage. So right now, the model has been annealing for about three weeks. Finished 2 days ago. So let's take a closer look to the models. Some are made out of optical glass without color. and the others are made out of optical glass with a pâte verre overlay. So I will show you a few details. So right now it's looking a little bit rough, but for those of you obviously who know my objects, this is what the object is like when it's sitting in the mold. Next week, we're gonna break the mold apart with the team. So.
Very cool, very cool. Thank you, Michael, for showing us your process. That's awesome.
Here I am again. So let's go into another studio.
Another studio, okay.
Yeah, this was the one for melting, for melting, model and mold making. And I'm casting my objects with the old Behrens method. I'm just using silica sand and plaster and some wireframe inside. So let's come in. This is the clean part. So here is one model. You might remember this one seen at Sofa Chicago. Right now I'm preparing the photo shots, and this piece just have come back from grinding and polishing from the Czech Republic. And next week the photographer will come and we make the images. The other piece right now is in the box below.
Gotcha.
So
very nice.
Okay.
You are busy. You are a busy man, Michael. Busy.
Yeah. And right now we have like here are some models around. You can see here the models, and right now in this corner, these are the models of the past 7 or 8 years. Unfortunately, had a fire about 8 years ago, and all models which I've made so far were burned down in one night. So behind me, you see the work of the past 8 years. So right now, we're gonna switch to the computer from the moving camera, Aaron.
Okay.
And we'll start with some questions.
Sure. So, has any questions?
But first, we have to give me a second to change the camera. Could you please switch up voice and?
Of course.
Yeah.
So what's happening now is Michael's switching from his phone to his computer for the presentation. So he will pop up on a different screen and probably go back into speaker mode and be having a dialogue with us. He will be answering questions now if anybody has any about what he's shown so far.
Aaron, what's the total size of his studio? It looks humongous.
He mentioned it. I couldn't answer it. He mentioned it in meters. And I don't know what that means off the top of my head. So let's ask him when he.
So I'm on again. Hello. We just changed the cameras, and right now I'm sitting in front of the computer, and nothing is moving so far.
We can hear you, and we had a question about your studio size. What is the total size of your studio?
The size is about 1,600 square meters. Square feet.
1,600 square feet. Okay, that's a good amount of space.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
Hello. How do you load the glass? And I noticed it was all melted, but how do you load the glass into your molds when they go into the kiln?
How do I lower the glass?
Load. How do you put the glass in before it's melted? Use chunks or cullets or hot?
I work on chunks of glass depending which glass I'm working on. I'm working with optical glass, which pâte verre overlay on the surface. Just give you one idea. You see a piece here. This is one piece. So this is optical glass with a pâte verre overlay on the surface, and I place each piece after another in the mold.
So they just flow together then in the mold.
Yes, like you put lots of little chunks in the mold. You make it by weight, and then everything is melting together.
So Michael, are you saying that you apply the pâte verre before you load the glass into the mold?
Yes, it's a kind of a pâte verre or a kind of a cold overlay technique. How about?
Thank you.
But obviously it is by purpose that no images of these technique are shown, just to, I'm really open with it, just to give you an idea, just about 200 years ago, if the people from Venice, the glass island, leave the island, they got poisoned by others when they speak about the secret.
I got another question for you, Michael, that someone's typed. Diane asked, how long does it take from concept to making mold to make a piece? So I guess
From concept to making molds. So this is a good asked question. Normally, I would say for me, it takes about 15 years of experience to make this kind of a pieces. But from concept to mold, just if I would call it working time, it would be around 3 or 4 months. Of course, depending on the size of the object and also, yeah, depending on the thickness. But some objects are in the kiln for 4 weeks annealing. So you have to count everything together. Around 3 or 4 months.
Gotcha.
This is kind of normal, I would say.
I have a quick question to ask you. Have you ever made a piece that you could not pick up?
Yes, of course. You will, afterwards, I have made what everybody is asking about technique. Of course, I'm talking about source of inspiration. At but one point, it's coming back to the technique. And you will see I've made a piece which I was not able to pick up. Just to give you an idea, the mold of casting this piece was over 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
So, and the piece actually, like the piece was 200 in pounds, it was about 450 pounds. And then you could guess like the mold always is like 2 or 3 times heavier than the casted piece.
Huh, that's interesting.
So I also have a small forklift. It's outside, but I have not shown it. So it can up about 2,500 pounds on one piece.
Wow. Thank you, Michael. All right. Should I start the presentation?
Can I ask one more question quickly?
Sure, Howard.
Hey, Michael, in the past, before the pandemic, I know, like you said, grinding and polishing sometimes is done in the Czech Republic. Was that in furnaces in Prague, you know, historical furnaces that other glass artists use?
No, like like you were talking about grinding and polishing.
Right.
So all my pieces, since I ever started, I have melted on my own. In my own furnaces, or here was a company around. I rented some furnaces, but since right now 14 years, I'm melting the pieces in my own furnaces. Just some pieces for grinding and polishing. So if I have the melted piece, we work on the structure, but to give the fine grinding and polishing to the annealed piece for the surface, this is done with some people from the Czech Republic. You will see some images afterwards. At this moment, one of my main grinders is Tom Kochi. He also is grinding the pieces from Anne Wolf, Ivan Maris, and sometimes also for Peter Bremers. He's also in the audience right now.
All right, thanks, Peter. I mean,
Michael. Michael. Howard, I'm used to it, that people are changing our names.
Try hard. Well, Michael,
okay.
We'll start now the presentation. I'm going to take up everybody's.
Aaron,
yes.
Could you start the presentation, please, and
Sure.
hold on with the first image, and
Yep.
I will tell you when you can carry on.
Yep, here we go. I'm taking over right now. Screen share. That now, boom. You should see a full picture of me and Michael.
Yes, I see your picture. I'm behind the screen. Yes, you see it. All right.
Good. Let me know when you're ready.
So wait, I'm talking a bit, and afterwards you can start. So yeah, like a youngster, I was always collecting some stuff, mainly for the bulky waste, and my parents hated it. And I was building lots of different things in the garage. So this is a kind of my art career as a 10-year-old here guy started. So, but then finally I make an apprenticeship as an industrial mechanic because my mother wants to learn me something secret, and I was dyslexic. For me, it was not so easy at school. So he said, Michael, make something serious, go to an engineering bureau and work with metal. But at one point, I was getting bored, so I quit the job after like 3 years apprenticeship, 2 years worked in this field. I quit the job, going to school again. And after school, so then I finished high school, and I applied at the Academy of Fine Arts in Maastricht. So the appliance was not so easy. So like if 1,000 people are applying, they have spaces for about 150 people, but finally I make it. And so now I'm starting with the first pieces I have done in Maastricht. So Aaron, could you start with the first image? Yes. Unbelievable. This is my work. Nobody has seen it before. It's from graduation. This is a table out of it's a 2-inch glass, bended in 2 times. The company which gave me a scholarship built a special furnace from it with 3 different furnaces inside. So I was able to bend this table to 2 sides. Yes. And I also worked with fabrics, is kind of 10 feet long and some stool beside it. These are some works of my final examination. On the next one, also in the past, I used to make lamps and also bend it out of glass with some UV glue and some connections that you can fit the bulbs in. So actually, I studied product and jewelry design. And after I finished studies, I was trying to produce my own furniture and go to special art fairs. But in the beginning, it was not so easy. So Aaron, there is another image. Yes, here it is. So finally, when I've finished graduation, the company which were located to me, oh, that's me and my first pieces. They give me a spot so I can work after finishing studies. And this is one of my first pieces. These are dropped out growls, kind of growls, not blown work. It's kiln casted. This piece is like 5 times in the kiln before bending it down. You make a mold and it's sagging through a hole. Aaron, you can go to the next image. So it's easier to see. Yes. So I was able to work in the studio for about 2 years. I just have to rent the kiln space. And besides this, I was also like working as a bar, but also besides this, like I was shaping some molds from a great guy, you know, Peter Behrens. He's also in the audience. Could you stop for a while? So I'm mixing it up a bit. This right now is one of my first shows in Germany. Yes. So these are like some, you see the dropout vessels, some bended vessels, and some wall installation. And could you go to the next image and stop there, please? So maybe you know the owner of this piece. So after studying, I was looking for a job, and Peter Behrens was my tutor at university. And he asked me, Michael, do you want to work as a freelancer in my studio? Help me shaping the molds. So this helps me out, and Peter has become a good friend over the years. I think this is one of a big piece, but right now he's making bigger pieces, and I was working with Peter together for the past 10 years, like for the first 10 years, but right now Peter is also casting some pieces in my job. He's coming with the models, so you can go one further. So this was in 2013 in his studio. So at this point, I was not 100% sure to become an artist. This is just a short project. I was making a big installation for a church. So I was making the altar, the baptism bowl, And afterwards, like the piece you see on the left-hand side, it's about first, we decided to kiln cast it, but then the weight was around 2,000 pounds and we couldn't realize it. And then we decided just to glue pieces together, and I was grinding for weeks to get this finished. So can you stop quickly? So your images are running so fast. Unbelievable. I have to drink something. Right now, I'm giving you just a quick overview over the technique you have seen in the studio, and it might become easier to your mind. So I'm start with the sketch, make a kind of a drawing. Aaron, could you please go ahead? So after the drawing, I work really like a sculpture, grinding and carving the piece out of artificial foam. So you have to be very careful with grinding. Once away, it's away. So this is like my normal working attitude, like I have to wear a mask all the time, and you see some, like I have the grinding tool in my hand, and I start grinding the pieces. Like this one, normally, of course, I'm wearing the mask, but for the image, we decided to leave it that people can see me. So you really see the small pieces of the foam. Aaron, you was asking about one of the biggest pieces, which I have done. Actually, your gallery sold it like 3 years ago. It was about the 450-pound piece. I think you need like 4 or 6 people to deliver it. And there I'm giving the piece the fine finish before casting the mold. And also you can see the structure is already in the piece. Like the foam is just 2 or 3 kilos, but the finished piece is like 500. So see, this is my family. The big piece I just was working on is on the right-hand side. There are some others. So and right now you will see how we are preparing the mold. This is my dear assistant. This is Mia. She's the first assistant in the studio, and we are working together, I think, for around 8 years. Right now, usually you can see the part of the model, and she's creating the casting channel. Here again, a view in the studio, and you see the model folded to the surface, and we are pouring the silica and plaster mold. Mainly, we are working in a team with this kind of a pieces from at least 4 or 5 people, because everything is poured by hand, and you have to imagine over 1,000 pounds are poured by hand. Like, so here it's easy to see on the left-hand side the model with the casting channel, on the right-hand side the released mold. So you see positive and negative. So here is the raw model just after 6 weeks annealing in the kiln.
Wow, it's a monster.
Releasing it, yeah, releasing it out of the kiln, so it's looking very, very rough. Then we are cleaning it up, and first we start working on the structure. You can see the small grinder in a hand, and on a big piece, if we are working on a high time pressure, we are grinding with 2 people on 1 piece at the same time, because we can save time. So this is rough grinding. You see the grinded sand, the white thing on the surface with a diamond wheel. And afterwards, there's fine polishing. Could you stop for a while, Aaron?
Sure.
So this is also, it's a very nice guy. This is one of my grinders I'm working with, and he's making such a great work. And over the years, we are working really, really good together. And you can see he is making the polishing with a kind of velvet felt wheel. So we can go further. So now we are starting away from this. We're going to the source of inspiration. So my source of inspiration is the underwater world, and I take my ideas and motion for the pieces. Like I'm a former diver, but right now I've made up my mind a little bit, because in the past I had a diving accident, So I've stopped a little bit diving, but my heart still is going with the underwater world. This picture was taken in Zanzibar in the Indian Ocean. I've been there like a few years ago. So we went out, for instance, for the hammerhead shark diving like 4 o'clock in the morning to find some sharks. In this vacation, we got out like 5 days, staying up at 4 o'clock, but no sharks somewhere. And this picture was taken by a friend. So could you stop for a while, Aaron?
Sure.
So one of my dear friends, could you go back? One of my dear friend, Markus Klingenberg, because he is a diving doctor and he has taken me to so many different places, to the Indian Oceans, to the Maldives. We have been at the Red Seas. And maybe some of you know what this is on my left-hand side. This is a pressure chamber. You can go with it to 210 feet deepness, just with air pressure mixed out of oxygen and air. In case of emergency or is there any kind of accident, also Marcus showed me to operate the system. So he can go inside and treat the patient.
Very neat.
So right now I'm explaining the pieces with the source of inspiration. These are one of my earliest pieces, the dropout pieces. Colorful, a little bit reminds me on Nemo. And important at this pieces, you can see the outline from the top of the pieces. I'm still working with the outline, but right now the pieces are standing up and I make objects from it. Like the first 2 or 3 years, I was working with this kind of vessel forms. So with the image before, you can see the connection with the holes in it. You see a little bit the movement of the glass. But at one point, I wanted to get more sculptural. And so I created...
The sound is over here, right? It doesn't stay like that.
Unmute themselves. Please mute yourself.
I created this kind of object. This is the Underwater World series. Before the Seaform, they are a little bit more controlled, a little bit more, I would call it, silent. Like, just to give you an idea, the vessel before, this was like 3 feet. This is a smaller one. The pieces are first melted in the kiln. They're between 2 and 4 inch, and afterwards, they're for a second time again in the kiln to give them the bending. And go further, Aaron. So at the next images, yes, this is also a very nice piece. You can see the movement, about 4 feet wide. It's like you see a moving fin underwater. I put the piece sometimes beside a piece. I put the inspiration image so you can see what makes me to do it.
Yeah, beautiful. I love the...
Oh, thank you very much, Aaron. So, and there's another series, I think. So, this still some Seaforms, but also I decided I want to make some pieces for the wall. So right now, this is the seaplanes from the Maldives. One of my dear friends, Victor, he supported me over the years. This is like 2010, somewhere in the Netherlands, Tilburg, I think so. So here, right now, sometimes you will see an exhibition shot so that you can see the dimension of the pieces. They are like the smaller ones are around like 20 inch. Bigger ones go up to 50. Is this right, Aaron?
Yep.
50 inch or 60, I don't know. So normally the pieces are between 20 and 400 pounds. So after the series, you can go on, please. I decided to work on a totally another series. They are called landscapes. And with the landscapes, yeah, you see, these are the atolls when you go with a seaplane to the different island of the Maldives. And at this point, one idea came up. I want to work with this kind of a structure. So
while I was flying in the seaplanes, I was taking lots of images, and in connection with Google Earth, I was able to travel the world and also move to different places and look after water or rivers which worked on the land. And it's a kind of an image, a frozen image. This is from the Nasser Lake in Egypt. You can see a kind of the desert thing, and the silver is the water. And this is like some salt sea in Australia. And I also have been to the Everglades with the kayak for 5 days, sleeping each night on the small cheekies in the wild. This are the Florida Everglades. At the bottom part, it's the open sea, and at the top you're going kind of inland in the direction of Everglades City. But this image was made with Google Earth, and this again is one part of the Nasser Lake in Egypt. So this was a small excursus about the different series. Oh, this is a small island right in the middle of the Pacific. Yeah, so we have some exhibition shots in between that you can see, like there's a kind of bracket system for the wall pieces with the connection of the casted pieces. This was a gallery in the Netherlands. So we can go further. So just a drink. So right now for me, the most important series are starting. You can go further, just let it flow. So in beginning 2011, I started with the Seaform series. So with this series, like water, the underwater world is still my source of inspiration, but I'm getting more and more sculptural again. So really I try to work as a sculpture, like when I have this piece of artificial wood, starting grinding and carving and giving life to the pieces. Aaron, you can go further with the pieces. You make it one piece every 12 seconds, like you said, just let it flow.
Right, it's supposed to. It likes to fight me too. So I'm keeping.
Okay. So you can. I hope you can see it's a difference between the Underwater World series and the Seaform series. The Seaform series. So it's lots about movement and finding the balance, and also getting more expressional. So this reminds me kind of like an undersea, kind of undersea flower. You can see the different kind of movement in the pieces, and also to show the colorful life underwater, and that I can let it flow a bit. So over the years also I try to make the pieces more and more three-dimensional, and so that you have no back and front. So they're dependent on the people, dependent on the viewer. Sometimes they are shown a totally different direction. I would recommend, but right now this is the right thing, depending on the viewer. So with the pieces, this was the both last pieces. I think Aaron is reminding the shows. This was international in 2017 and 18 at Habatat Gallery.
Yep, definitely. It is a.
So here you can see the pieces are mainly the pieces are not. By the way, you see this is the model of the piece, which is just placed behind me on the table.
Michael, it's also behind me.
Yeah, it's also, I see it. It's also behind you. On my pieces, also, I'm working like with different surfaces. So you have the polished surface outside, then you have like the structured surface. Some like the Italian call it the kind of a battuto, but the battuto is already made in the model. Unlike you have seen on the technique images, we have to work afterwards again on the battuto, on the grinding technique. And some pieces are velvet, so we make a matte finish. So I have three different surfaces. I have the polished, the structured, and the velvet, and also giving life to the pieces through the honeycomb effect. And with this effect, that for me it's possible because I'm working on each piece of the glass with sandblasting or giving color to it by purpose. And depending on placing in the mold, I can create a kind of flow into the pieces. And also with thickness, you have kind of color change. You see the closer connection, like this in nature, between the landscapes and the underwater worlds, the Seaform series.
Beautiful colors.
You again, excuse me?
They have some beautiful colors. Every color is so vivid.
Yeah, special collection is for special people. Here, like depending on the piece, you can see here again a piece, you have movement to give the movement in the shape and to give the movement with the color. It's coming down from the neck and the color in the bottom is getting more solid. And also with the pieces, for me, everything or lots is about detail. And when you work with the optical glass, the people sometimes think about the created honeycomb effect inside. They think, oh, it's hollow, and they try to stick their finger in it. But it's just the surrounding of the color on the surface. And some people think it's really hollow. So also I create a kind of illusion, like you are running against a mirror. Like you think, oh, I can just walk through it. I want to put my hand on it. So again, I'm showing the strong color combinations. Yeah. And while diving, you have all these animals. You have these snails and slugs. And when you see them underwater, they're just like 2 or 3 inches tall. But the patterns on the surface from the snails or slugs, it's like some artist has designed it, has colored it and painted it in hours of work. And for me to get inspiration, it was so nice to just make some images of it and make some pieces afterwards. So first, when I was starting the Seaform series, I was a kind of addicted to have a totally control under the shape. First, when I was designing the outlines. So for me, over the years, I have developed more skills that I can get a little bit more free with the shape and let it flow. Sometimes the people are asking, how do I get to the shapes? And for me, also for this lecture, I had to think about it. How do I get to the shapes? It just comes to my mind, it kind of comes out of my stomach. How do I'm grinding the pieces? Of course, I have something in my mind, but also it's like nature is a very big source of inspiration for me. And I don't want to copy it. I just want to give a kind of my own interpretation. And if you take a look after the pieces, it seems to be that they are kind of grown into shape. to give them something, was heißt Zufall?
By accident?
Nein, das ist die falsche.
Almost natural
So,
appearance, yeah.
Yeah, to give them that they are grown into shape and gives them a natural appearance. Also that you can you can really dive into the pieces. Here you can see like this piece has this velvet surface in combination with a polished surface. So you can really go deep into the piece. So this is one of the also the Goosehead series, and you see the movement is coming from top to bottom. This, I think, it's a quite big one, about 4 feet high. Yeah, this right now is by accident standing behind me in the studio. I think, and these two behind me are also part from the Artsy online show. You have to mention.
Yes, I will jump in and mention. I wanted to do that. Michael has his own Artsy show we're promoting as well right now on artsy.com. We've partnered with Artsy. We did it with Peter, our artist, and we're honored to show Michael's work as well. And we'll send a link to everybody after this email with his link to his show to see it all online today.
You can go further with the images, Aaron?
Sure.
Sure.
Give me 1 second to get back to it.
Okay. Yeah, these are the last few images of the Seaform series. Kannst du mir kurz just
Michael's been thirsty. Thank you, Michael. Join us. Michael, you have muted yourself by accident. There you are. Hear you now.
So just stop for a while.
Sure.
So right now, this is one detail. Now you can go with the Phoenix piece with the detail, Aaron, please. So I think well, just give me a second before I screw it up. Okay, stop. So this is one detail of the Phoenix series. Like I have just mentioned before, I had a fire about 7 years ago in the studio. In one night, the whole studio burned down. All the models were burned, and lots of pieces were broken because of heat. And of course, like I've worked 10 years in the field as an artist, in one night everything burned down. But at one point, I get a kind of new energy out of it. I've seen the pieces, and we have there was lots of black dust over it. So to my mind comes to create the Phoenix series, like the Phoenix from the ash, like the end and beginning. And Aaron, you can go further, please. So I created a small series. This is actually, it's glass, it's black crystal, also kiln-casted black crystal, and the surface is covered with thin gold leaf. So there are several layers of 24K gold leaf on the surface. And even if you see the glass, it's totally black. We have also the kind of depth which is sitting in the piece because the strong reflection of the black glass. And at some point, it's really pulling up and you think, oh, it's white or transparent, but this is a reflection. And you have this big contrast between, you can stop here, Aaron, I think this also is the last image from the presentation. Okay. So you can, oh, this is the last one, sorry. So here it's really clear to see. It's totally black, and depending on I played with a kind of silent or models, so there's not so many shape in it. And this whitish parts, it's just because of the reflection and because of the bending, you see also the reflection of the gold leaf in it.
Yes, I do see that. Beautiful work.
So,
These are stunning.
and I think we exposed one piece, two pieces on so far, and the first piece just have sold directly, and two pieces, the last two pieces are in the international online show so far with the black crystal and the gold.
Well, thank you, Michael. That was very enlightening. I had a great time experiencing all of your different bodies of work. I want to open the floor up to questions, but I do have a bit of an announcement real quick, is that the next Zoom meeting for Habatat will be Marlena Rose. It will be on the 25th of July. I have moved it due to a canoe trip I am going on to try to enjoy a little bit of the summer. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I would love for everybody to unmute themselves and to feel free to ask Michael anything about his presentation.
Of course.
I have a question about muscle. Some of your pieces are very big. The molds are even heavier, and it looks like they're upside down from the way they have to go into the kiln.
Yes.
How do you turn those big things over?
You are totally right with the big molds. It's the heaviest part. When we have casted the mold on one point, we have to flip them over. And depending on the sides, on the other side of my studio, there's a car trading company, and they borrow the big forklift. Just to give an idea, we have the mold, we have to release the mold, and with belts we flip it, put it down. Yeah, you're right.
The other thing I asked, I'm sorry, was about your colors, which are beautiful. Where do your colors come from, your glass? Oh, that's all there?
I'm working with different kind of glasses. So some glasses are coming from Germany, and some are coming from the States. So in Germany, I work with Schott company, but unfortunately they break down the production line. It's a very old company, 18th century founding, and I work also with Reichenbach colors. It's close to Dresden. They produce these casting colors.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Somebody else? Some questions?
Michael, can you tell me where you've traveled to, where you've experienced your scuba diving in your life? So we get an idea of the different places you've traveled.
So, of course, I've been to the North Sea, but it's not so nice for diving, and to the Mediterranean Sea. But I also have been to the Red Sea. So this is nice, but for me, the Indian Ocean is like around the Maldives or the Seychelles, Tanzania. For me, the most nice thing was Tanzania, also cultural, and the Maldives on the Indian Ocean. You have not so big fishes, but it's very, very colorful. For sure, I see Peter on the screen. He knows the Maldives, I think so.
Sure thing. The follow-up, is there a favorite color you love to use?
I would say look behind you. So I like to use strong color combinations. I like the gray and the orange. I think this is very common for my pieces. And I like the turquoise. I have some turquoise pieces. And I have another kind of grayish blue with yellow in it. So these would be my top three, but it's also depending on the piece, I think so. It's difficult to say.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. Would anybody else like to ask a question?
I do. Michael, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, hello, Debbie. How are you doing?
Hi. Doing well. I have a question on some of your pieces. they look like inside, like there's orange colors that, but they look almost like movement, like, I don't know how to say it, but like pieces of it is actually moving inside, almost like you've got a piece of, like you're under the water and you see how the stuff is moving under. How do you do those
Oh,
individual little
you-
tiny colors in there?
Like a piece of oregano on your pizza? This is the thing you mean inside?
Yeah, it looks like it's moving inside. Some of your pieces just look like, if you look at it the right way, you're gonna have the pieces move inside there. Little
So,
like grass, colored grass or weeds.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Like these pieces are made with hand-rolled sheets. So on this about 3mm sheets, there are some kind of spaghetti glass on it, and some rough grinded glass. And these big sheets are cut it into slices and put it upside down in the mold. And when it's melted together, you get this movement. And when the piece stands up, you have the imagination that the movement is right in the piece.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Feel free to chime in.
I had a question, Aaron.
Sure.
Hi, Michael. How you doing? Fantastic.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. Nice to see you. On the black and gold pieces, the surface of the gold that looks like Batuto, how do you do that?
Like also the first the Batuto, like the grinded, first it's grinded into the model, then we are making the mold, kiln casting the glass. After releasing the glass, we are grinding the Batuto on the object again.
Package.
And when it's finally grinded and polished, the surface of the Batuto is carefully covered with gold leaf. I hope this was not too difficult for explanation.
Oh, it's perfect.
Right over my head, though, but thank you. It's perfect for me, too. I had no clue what you
Michael, your English is better than my German, I can tell you that.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope this was a compliment.
It was.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Joel.
Michael, originally you were making light bulbs sealed in glass. Any thought of illuminating these pieces, going back to your origins?
No, not really. Like I studied product design, and this was some part of my study. But I think, hello, how are you doing?
Good.
And I don't want to go back to make some light objects. Maybe in the future, light objects, but no lamps.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if there's no other questions, I'll give you one more second.
Wait.
Sure.
It's Malcolm. Michael, do you see yourself doing polishing? Your polishing is exquisite, and I know that you're having it done in the Czech Republic, but do you see that in your future?
By the way, may I ask you a question? There's a T-shirt with my name on it, Mike.
That's right. I'll send you one.
Yeah, no, like to getting back to your question, because of course I know how to grind and polish, and it's really like it's tough work. But for me as an artist, I want to create pieces, and so I'm more into make new art, make new pieces, not into grinding and polishing the work all the time. So right now I built a team like to grind and polish also in the studio, and of course I've grinded and polished my own pieces, but also I know that's a very time-consuming process. And to give you an idea, if you are working with the architect is not building the house on its own. He's also working with a kind of construction workers.
Sure.
So this I have in mind. So some pieces I like grinding and polishing. I also like the process, working on it, but mainly they are grinded in the Czech Republic.
Right.
Hi, Myra and Hal Weiss here. We just wanted to
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Just want to thank you for the amazing presentation. Really enjoyed learning about your technique, but even more about the progression of the work and your inspiration. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciation.
Michael, this is
Ah.
Dale and David Goldheim.
Hi, Michael. Hello, how are you doing? Nice meeting you online here.
Very happy. So your colors are so vivid and beautiful. Do they always come out to what you have in mind, and how do you do that?
So like the first years I've really experienced with working with the kiln casting technique with the colors. Like one of the most difficult colors, by the way, you see the piece which is behind Aaron. If you have any red, orange or yellow color in the piece, like if you have raw orange or red, these are the most difficult colors for kiln casting.
And that's what we have. We have yellow and red.
Oh, you have a good taste. Congratulations. No, I'm like, because I worked years on it to get these colors out like they should be. But of course, sometimes if the glass is getting too hot, it can be possible that some colors are shifting. But that's glass. Sometimes you never know what you get out. But experience over the years makes it a kind of secure for me.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Basically, responding to the last question, most of your work is very well known for all its colors and the structures. When you started doing the black and gold pieces, you're not showing colors and no structure other than in the gold. Does it give you a different feeling when you work with it, and does it change the approach of the shape because you're doing something which is quite different? I mean, black and gold.
Yeah, it's giving me a kind of different feeling, because then I want to put not so much structure in it, because the gold really is pushing it forward. But this turned out when I had finished the first pieces. And one of the pieces, if you look after the images, and when it was gilded, I looked after it, I said, whoa, what's going on? This is too much structure in the piece. But I think I've just done a few of these pieces, and also have to learn about the process, because the contrast between gold and black, I think it's even stronger between, if somebody would ask you what is the contrast from black, mainly people would say white. But if you say take black and gold, it's even stronger.
Yeah, it's very strong. But what also comes into play, which I think is really interesting, is how the black is reflective. You know, it's almost like a black mirror. I love it.
Yes.
I think it's a very interesting series.
Yeah, thank you very much. So also I have to work with these pieces. Then you have to work more about the shape, that you have the bending, and really take good thought about how do you create the bending in the piece, that you get the reflection. But this is a kind of also learning by doing, and I have to create more of these that I can see. Yeah, so.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. My pleasure, Peter.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today, and I hope you enjoyed Michael's talk. We'll be posting this on YouTube. Tell your friends so they can see it as well. A big thank you to Michael and for coming and talking with us. Thank you, Michael. And thank you all our guests for coming to join us, and we'll see you next time. Be well. Stay safe.
Yay, bravo, Michael. Bravo.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Terrific
Aaron.
presentation.
Thank you,
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Michael.
Everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Bye, everybody.
How do I leave?